So in my last video, I said I was going to touch on theism, atheism, and agnosticism. Now, in very simple terms, theism is the belief in a supernatural being, and also the belief that this supernatural being intervenes in human affairs. Atheism is quite the opposite, and it doesn't believe that there's an existence of a God and a supernatural being brought about these things or intervenes in human actions. Deism is like theism, however, just a little distinction. It believes in a supernatural being, but does not believe that this supernatural being intervenes in human affairs. Then agnosticism, which I call the sanest, of which, yes, I am a school of thought of the agnostic side, believes that the idea of this supernatural being, or how the world came to be, is unknowable. It's not a knowledge that we know right now, and that it cannot be proved nor disproved. And so they admit to their ignorance and say that we do not really know. They do not really know how the world came to be. And I picked that at the sanest position because, unlike atheism that outrightly discards theism, even though yes, they have the right questions to ask the theist, and these questions reveal the different loopholes in the theist theology. Regardless of that fact, the agnostic himself refuses to discard it outrightly, just like the atheist does, because for him, he still looks at the world and marvels at it. And it is difficult for him to say, just like the atheist says with such pomposity and ego, that the world came through some certain kind of other way, because most atheists themselves tend to also offer explanations as to how the world came to be. They do not just outrightly discard it. They still maybe go through the Big Bang theory, that also when the theists themselves still pick up, they still question and they still find loopholes in. However, the agnostic tells you outrightly that he does not know. He's not cracking out some formula by Charles Darwin or Einstein or whoever it is. He is looking at it and say, this is beyond me. And I agree that I do not know. And of course, I will continue to open my mind to whichever positions that people continue to bring up. And I will question it, just like the Berean Jews in the Bible, and see for myself. And then I will continue to see if for real this is true or not. I find it at the sanest position, and remember, I'm still speaking in the context of Africa, because when I was making the video on if God is omnipotent, I made the reference to the banditry situation in the nation and asked why God hasn't come through, just like the theists have posited that their God is interventional, which led to the next video where I asked, is God interventional? And I proved that it's either non-interventional or selectively interventional. And so right here, I'm saying the agnostic position is sanest. It is the sanest position to pick, and it is a position that will take us right there to the solution that we need in Africa. When we begin to question these things, and then the very many things we do not have answers to, we agree and admit that we do not have the answers to it. I was going through several quotes on theism, atheism, and different aphorisms, and I came through a particular one written in the Rig Veda, that is R-I-G or Rig Veda. I don't know if I got the pronunciation well. The Rig Veda is part of the books, one of the sacred books of the Indians, the Hindus themselves. And I'm surprised that such a wonderful quote is found in it, which in a sense has been the reason that has opened me to other world religions aside Christianity, in which I was born and indoctrinated in. For me, I always ask, why do we have theists in the world? Were we born theists? Were we born believers? Of course, we weren't born believers. I have forgotten this philosopher that said that all humans were born agnostics, that we were all born agnostics. That is, we were born with a curious, open mind, in which if we were asked while we were young, before being indoctrinated into an evolution, if we were asked, how did the world come to be? Our answers would have been simply and honestly and innocently, we do not know. Right? Just like the Vedas of Ceylon, who said, we do not know. We assume that it came here on its own, but we do not know how these things came to be. And so, for me, I like this I like this particular quote by the Rig Veda because it is very innocent, it is very open-minded, it is curious, and it is philosophic, right? And it asks these really nice questions, which I'll read out for you. And like I was saying, that how did people come to become believers or theists? It is through indoctrination, because everybody was born into a family that belonged into a religion. And so we were not born Christians nor born Muslims, but we were born into a Christian home, of which, yes, our guardians already were practicing Christians or Muslims or Hindus or whichever religion that they believed in. And so right there from a tender age, we were indoctrinated and taught these things, not because we discovered these things on our own. We were not born to look and say, oh, God created the world, on the first day he did this, on the second day he did that, and on the seventh day he rested. No, we were told these things, we were taught these things by people who also were taught these same things by people who also were taught the same things. And so as a result of these things, we begin now to hold these things firmly, because that is the power of indoctrination, especially when it happens from a younger age. We now hold these things so firmly, and we sell it and continue to sell it, and we begin to wonder, you know, with some still the irritation why other people do not buy into this indoctrination, into this doctrine of ours. You know, we fail to see that these people themselves, most of which discard these things, either were not indoctrinated like us, or maybe they have come to at least critically analyze the doctrines that they had been sold from a tender age, and they have seen the contradictions and different loopholes and thumb screws in these things, and they have said, no, something is not right somewhere. But then, you know, it has always been the debate for ages, and like Mark Twain has always said, the easy confidence with which you think another man's religion is folly should teach you to suspect that your own is. You know, the easy confidence with which the theist thinks that the atheist is foolish, it should also teach him to suspect that perhaps he himself, something is wrong, because it is through the same lens that the atheist looks at him and wonders, why are you this foolish? Just like he looks at the atheist and wonders why he's foolish, as well as he looks at the agnostics. And so the Rig Veda reads and say, who really knows and who can swear how creation came? You see, he's asking, who really knows and who can swear how did creation come? Right? When or where? Even the gods came after creation's day, it says. He said, who really knows and who can truly say when and how did creation start? Right? And then it went further to ask, did he do it or did he not? Only he up there knows, maybe, or perhaps not even he. It's a very sound and philosophical quote that makes you ponder, it makes you ask these questions, and makes you think for a while. It's like a food for thought, right? And you wonder that this is actually in the holy books. I really like world religions very much, which is what is going to lead me to the next video, where I will be asking, if the theists are so firm on their belief and they think that theirs is the absolute, then we have lots of gods, over 3,000 gods. So which among this religion is true? Which one is really true? Since now we have multiple theists, thousands of theists around the world, with different mythologies, with different explanations, with different certain givings, which one is true among all of them? So that is going to lead me to the next video that I'll be making on which religion is the truest religion. And then I will begin to dig it deeper, and then we'll begin to get more into the context within Africa, because yes, my solution is Africa. This is where the continent I belong in, and Nigeria, most especially my country. I like to ask these questions, and then we'll do these diggings, and then we'll get somewhere. The aim at the end of the day, I will be going deeper into the political side, the historical side, with different examples. But I am beginning with religion for a very good reason, of which later on subsequently you will discover how I will be referring back to these things and explaining these things and making you see very many things very clearly. At the end of the day, you know, it's a big job to be done, a big work to be done in liberating us from these chains of poverty, most especially, because I do not feel good that we continue to get poorer and poorer of which we do not deserve to be. Like I always ask, Africans are the most religious, yet why are they like this? And so we'll ask which religion is true, and they would question and say, just like the atheists oftentimes ask, they wonder, especially in our current time, they say that religion has done the world a greater disservice than a greater service. For me, if you ask me, should we discard all these religions? For me, it's going to be a skeptical no or a skeptical yes, because the historian himself, even the most skeptical one, like Will Durant said himself, still sees the consolatory use and value of religion. He sees religion as the invisible police, as a planter of conscience, a conscience that stands hold even when the political force itself loses its own ability or capacity. And so it is these things that I see myself. I am not really on the verge of tearing down religion, although me asking these philosophical questions indirectly sought to do so. But eventually, like Pastor Danjuma Gordon Kwabe, a wonderful lecturer of mine, has always said that if some of your brilliantly asked questions, Dave, would lead people to renounce or denounce their faith, then they probably are yet to begin their faith journey. And so I am not here to subject your faith to variation. I'm just here to question it. But then if at the end of the day you still stick to it, let it be in the sanest way, where we can apply these things in the most practical way, know where to apply and expect it, and know not where to, and then at the end of the day aim towards a better living while we are on earth. So yes, I'm great Dave, and there's a whole lot to say. I will still be chipping in more agnostic sayings, more atheist sayings, more theist sayings in between. I'm a fluid mind, I do not subscribe to a fixated school of thought. I like to jumble here and there, but I am really a pursuer of what is really true, what is factual, what works, and what eventually will help us at the end of the day. So just stay tuned again. I will be coming through very, very soon again. I got so much things to do. It's why I barely come online really, really often. But yes, I will be treating the next one, and like I said, on which of the gods are true. I would ask questions, and these questions, of course, I'll leave you to decipher for yourself. I'm Great Dave, and yeah, as usual, I just talk. So I'll see you next time.